Hey everybody, welcome back for another professional picks video talking our NFL week picks for week 10 of the NFL season. Taking a look to review our week 9 card here. We, hitting the Jags money line. I was going back and forth on that one with the Raiders and looked bad to start the game, Sliwa, but Jags came through. Chargers, which I said was going to be iffy. They pulled it out, but that was a close game. Commanders should have won that game outright. But that 3.5 was a really nice hook line. The Rams lost in the last 20 seconds of the game. So
It was
that's a tough one. And then the Packers, I said it last week. I will not be betting them at least for a very, very long time this season. I can't. When's the last time Rodgers has thrown two interceptions in the end zone? He looked terrible. Looked
yeah,
absolutely terrible.
threw a tantrum. The
Yeah,
Lions have not been treating us well, but
that team is in shambles, and I kind of love to see it. It's pretty fun, to be honest. All right, let's move on to the first game of our card, Sliwa. Um, Vikings at Bills here. Josh Allen, notably, I don't know if you saw, hurt his elbow at the end of the game against the Jets. Nothing too serious, and he stayed in the game, but it's definitely causing him some at least discomfort, if not pain. So something to keep an eye on. But I got a feeling he's going to play no matter what. Um, I personally, will like the Bills here at the very least to win. We'll talk about covering, but I'll let you go with your analysis on this game.
yeah, I mean, on paper, best matchup of the week.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
one loss a piece, or not one loss, three, right? One
three
for the
losses combined. Yeah,
two for the
yeah.
Bills, yeah, yeah. But I mean, hard for me to bet against the Bills, especially after a loss to the Jets. If you watch that post game interview, I saw like a small clip of it, but Josh Allen was notably very pissed off.
I loved it.
It's going to make me hard to bet against these guys, especially at home. Just something I noticed right away was just how easy of a schedule the Vikings have played. They've only played two teams with winning records on the year. They lost to the Eagles 24-7, and then they beat the Dolphins, but that was with Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. So you got the Vikings here, who's played the seventh easiest strength of schedule, and then you have the Bills, who have played the second toughest.
Really?
But yeah,
Wow.
I mean two fairly even teams on paper, but I think the Vikings are really going to get exposed here. I think a lot of people also think that.
Yeah, number one, they're due for a loss. They should have lost against the Commanders. We said that last week, and they pissed that game away. But the Vikings, there's a reason the Vikings struggle with the Commanders, and we talked about it, is because the Commanders have a really good front seven and can generate a good amount of pressure with rushing four guys. Well, the Commanders are good at it. The Bills are way better at it. The Bills have the lowest. This is crazy to me. This is just insane. Bills have the lowest blitz rate in the league. They rush four guys more than anyone else, but they also have the highest pressure rate of any team. So they are getting the quarterback better than anybody else by sending less guys than everybody else. So they're and I can talk about it too. Kirk Cousins, not the best with pressure. You saw Justin Jefferson get to a hot start against that game against Commanders. Then they kind of shut him down. The Bills are able to do that too. I expect just after a loss, especially at home, this line is I think creeping more towards the Bills' favor. If you can get it at 6.5, great. I got a feeling that it's going to keep people are going to be betting on the Bills. On a loss after a loss at home, pissed off Josh Allen against a solid Vikings defense. Zadarius Smith is playing so well and putting the team on his back, especially with the pass rush. I think he leads the league in sacks, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. And I really like the Bills minus 6.5 here, and even more so, just I'm going to tease them down a little bit to make that a little bit more safe. I'd be shocked if the Bills drop two in a row. This is something that a team this good doesn't do, especially with the home field advantage that they have. Moving on to the Bosa Bowl, as I like to my puns to continue for this kind of stuff. I just like seeing your reaction, honestly, when I do this stuff. With the Niners hosting the Chargers at home, coming off a bye week. Sliwa, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, definitely taking the buy into account here with the Niners -7. They are at home. Uh, Looking at it on paper, +7 looks really nice. You got Herbert back there, but the Chargers are just so injured, like unbelievably injured.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mike Williams is out, Keenan Allen's out, J.C. Jackson, Rashawn Slater, um,
Joey,
Joey. Uh,
Joey Bosa. He might come back for this game. He's questionable. But yes, to your point, they're just it seems like it happens to the Chargers every year. I don't know how, but they get hurt more than any team in my memory. It's crazy.
yeah, Keenan Allen can't stay off the injured list.
He never will be able to.
Hopefully, neither can Joey Bosa. But yeah, with all that being said, I mean Herbert's a good quarterback, but there's just so many more weapons on the Niners team. Just comparing those two offenses, taking the quarterbacks out of the equation, it's like night and day in my opinion. Even on the defensive side of the ball right now, I think the Niners are the much better team. I know how you feel about this game, but again I like the favorite here, even with a bigger line.
I mean, yeah, I really liked bye weeks are good for a lot of teams, but it's really good this week for the 49ers for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gives Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey more time to get used to this offense together. You know Kyle Shanahan's loving having this new toy in McCaffrey to play around this offense, and it gives him McCaffrey more time to understand this playbook and be more integrated in this offense. And the second reason is that it lets Deebo Samuel, arguably the best player, even with Christian McCaffrey on that offense, to get healthy. He's not played the last couple of weeks. Given this extra rest, he should be in play. I don't know how this Chargers team, who is really, really bad against the run, that's why the Falcons probably should have won that game, are going to be able to stop both Deebo Samuel and Chris McCaffrey with this Niners run game and just offense in general. So I really like the Niners here to even just cover, but again, to make it a little bit safer, I'd be surprised if they lost this game off a bye week. Obviously the Chargers are competing for the division, but that one seems pretty unrealistic. The Niners are very much competing for a division title here, going back and forth with the Seahawks. So we'll have to see what they can do here. But I like this Niners team that has got a lot of great talent on offense, solid defense against the team of Chargers that lets up a lot of yards per carry. Then we got two teams that have quickly become some of the best over bets in football. Remember we talked about last week? We were like Bears and Dolphins over. We wish we bet that. That bet almost hit in the first half. It was crazy how many points were getting put up. It's finally fun to watch the Bears offense. The defense is still terrible, but what do you think here against this Lions team at home?
Yeah, no, I mean I was at the Bears game last weekend or yesterday even, but the the fans are notably very excited. I mean, even like you always get those diehards that are just on the Bears no matter what, but there's people are really excited about this offense finally. And that's the thing. Their defense has just been the heart and soul for the last like 10 years. And just finally getting an offense that can put up points even when we're losing, it's just that much more enjoyable. So like you mentioned, the over here looking nice. But with that being said, they shipped off their two leaders, their captains of the defense. The Bears, according to PFF, have the second worst defense in all of the NFL now.
Yeah,
So this is
not
clearly
good.
a matchup trending towards the over. The Bears have scored a little over 31 and point 3 points per game in their last three games. I like Justin Fields a lot here. The the Lions also just got rid of T.J. Hawkinson, so kind of negates some of especially that tight end linebacker matchup that you probably would have seen a little bit with Roquan. That loss might not hurt as much in this one. I
Yeah,
expect a lot of points. I'm liking the over here. I think it's going to be close. Um, yeah, I'll let you take this one, Woj.
is this over too easy again? You got two bottom five defenses in the league, and of late, two really good offenses. I mean, the Lions' offense has been good, and now the Bears are just going crazy. Honestly, I was going to add the over here to the card, but it seems too easy again, and I can't do it because it seems too much like free money. So I like the Bears here too, just because they seem to figure out ways to beat the Lions at home. The offense looks really good right now. Justin Fields looks really, really good right now. One of the biggest X factors in the league. I'm sure you saw most rushing yards for a quarterback in the regular season. And to your point too, you talked about people starting to believe in this Bears team. I am the biggest Bears cynic of anybody in Chicago, and they are starting to win me over. Not this season; they're not going to be. Their defense is too bad this year, but they have a real opportunity with the amount of draft picks they have, and the amount of cap space they have to really build a team around Justin Fields. And it's a pretty exciting time to be a Bears fan, which you have been able to say too often in our lifetimes, Sliwa. So.
I
I'm
mean, I love what Ryan Poles is doing.
Yeah, can't
Bring
complain
up
at
the big
all.
offseason. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just an exciting team right now. I think the Lions. I mean, obviously they're having St. Brown and DeAndre Swift who are getting healthier too. I really like the over more than anything.
Yeah, I mean we have the Bears money line -3 here. I think the Bears will win this game. I really do. Especially because the Lions' tendency to blow games in the end. But this over seems good. Should we live add the over to the card?
Well, live ad. We
Live
had
add? I like it. I mean, the big play potential for these two teams, especially if St. Brown's playing, is incredible. That being Amon-Ra, not Equanimeous St. Brown, that can't catch balls that Justin Fields puts on the money on fourth down, or third down. But regardless, a lot of points here. I think the Bears win this game, but I think they're going to win it in a shootout fashion. So we'll get back to that in the card, but I like the live ad in the over. It seems too easy. Here we go. First ever game in Germany. You got the Seahawks. You see how I told you this background? Seahawks facing the Buccaneers here. Bucks, big win against the Rams. They needed it. I think if they lose that game, they have a really tough time making the playoffs, which is something Tom Brady does not do. I think they keep this trend continuing. I think they go into Germany. I got a feeling it's going to be this crowd is going to be more friendly to the Seahawks, to the Buccaneers and the Seahawks. And the reason being, there has never been a player in the history of football that is more recognizable than Tom Brady. He's and an insane career and he's played forever. If you know football, even if you don't know football, the only player you know is Tom Brady. So I got a feeling you need a lot of Brady fans that are just going to be Bucks fans here in Germany that give them a pseudo home field here. But again, I think this is time for the Buccaneers to really right the ship. Second half of the season, they always come out stronger. They did it during the year they won the Super Bowl. They did it last year. Expect them to keep building momentum. I like the Buccaneers here, -2.5. -3, I'd be a little more worried. -2.5, I'd like the field goal edge here over the Seahawks, who've looked really good. Sliwa, you've been on these guys. You talked about them making the playoffs. I know you're a Seahawks believer. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, no, I mean Seahawks have now won 4 straight. Definitely a good football team. Tough for me to see them win 5 straight. We're in a lot of the same picks here. I know we had live added that over, but I was leaning the Bears here. I'm leaning the Bucks as well. I think this one really comes down to the passing game. Both teams just pass heavy offenses. You bring in Kenneth Walker, bit of an X factor,
Oh,
gives
big
the
aspect.
Seahawks an edge there, but with two teams that are still pretty pass heavy, the Buccaneers top 5 pass defense, and then you have the Seahawks who are bottom half in the league. I think it's tough to see this Tampa Bay offense get going. They didn't necessarily even look good last week. They still gutted out a win.
Yeah.
I think at 4-5, that could be the one that gets them back on track. It's getting late in the season, so Tom Brady realized that it's got to happen now. I do think that win could put him over, especially in that very weak NFC South. It's still anybody's division. There's a lot to play for.
Yeah. This is going to be the toughest secondary that Geno Smith is facing this year. I'm looking at the Bucks have the 4th best coverage in all of football, whereas Seahawks are middle of the pack. So definitely, obviously, the edge goes to the Seahawks there, the Buccaneers there. It's going to be interesting to see what this team can do against this Bucks secondary. It's still, despite the way their team's playing, they're really good. Their offense is the Buccaneers is the issue right now. They're not putting up more than 20 points a game. Their defense is getting them a shot as they did against the Rams to win football games. I think the defense gives them a good shot here, probably forces a turnover here as, Geno Smith loves to sling it this season. And he's been doing very well with that mentality, but I think he might catch up in this game. And this is more so about the Bucks riding the ship. Maybe a little bit of mean reversion for the Seahawks, who seem to be for real. But it seems like this is a game the Bucks again due for a win. Seahawks maybe a letdown game here. So looking at the card, Bucks 2.5 here, Germany game. I like it. I like it even more that I can watch football at like 8 a.m. on a Sunday, which is going to be great. Bears money line, and don't forget, see with a live ad. We'll have to put that in recap next year. Live ad of the Bears over 48.5. Love it. It just seems too easy, man. Last week it seemed really too easy, and it was though. I really hope it is again this year. I think as people that watch the Bears more than other people, we kind of have a little bit of a head start on these. Like this is gonna be one of the last weeks to ever pick the over on the Bears before it's too late and the secret's out. So let's hope we got it when it's in time. And then this Bills Niners teaser, I love it. Bills off a loss, Niners off a bye, both teams at home against a Chargers team that's banged up, against a Vikings team that is played an incredibly easy schedule, and record is not very representative of how they play this year. So like those a lot. So anything you want to add? Card?
Yeah, my one note here is that Bucks line opened at -1.5. So if you like it, you want to tail, I'd grab it before it gets
Get
to
it
3.
before it gets to 3. 2.5 is a really key number that you're gonna want to get if you're taking this game for sure. Good point, Sliwa. Moving on, we got the Browns on the road against the Dolphins here. I honestly was surprised that Dolphins weren't favored by more, but I think it's you can point to the fact that the Bears put up so much points against them and honestly had a real shot to win that game. To poke a lot of holes in this Dolphins defense. You know, this is a Browns team that is really solid in the run game. And if you're going to run on them like the Bears did, then you're going to give them the Dolphins a tough time winning that game. Dolphins won by 3 points. They got lucky that their punt team, their punt defense put up 6 points for them. Otherwise, it's a much different game. I am definitely in the Browns +4 here, and I wouldn't be shocked if they won this game. I just think that this is a Browns team that lives in the trenches on both sides of the football, and this Miami Dolphin team is the exact opposite. And for that reason, I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. I think everyone's going to be like, what? The Dolphins are so good. The Browns are terrible. We should be betting them -4, and they're at home. No, not this one. I think the Browns make this game really close, and you see a big game from Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, obviously, like you mentioned, just a real clash of play styles. You have the best passing offense against the best rushing offense. Not positive, so don't quote me on that. But
I'm checking right now, second best. You know, the Raiders are actually #1 now. Kind of crazy.
Interesting.
But yes.
Yeah. And yeah, tough game to bet for sure. But like you mentioned, you got the Bears who stuck right there with the Dolphins. Obviously, just a pick here or there could change the game. You're going to want to definitely need to keep Tua healthy and just protect it against Myles Garrett. I think that's something to watch as well, especially with his injury history.
Yeah. Oh, big time. I mean, I said it in the Survivor video. Garrett is the highest graded defensive player this year. He doesn't always, lead the league in sacks, but he definitely pressures the quarterback, a lot of QB hurries, and he also is big in the run game. So he's a big X factor. And another thing here, again, Browns, you know me in a game of, who am I going to pick? I like the team with the better run game anyways. But when you look at the defense side of the football, you're talking about passing for the Dolphins. The Browns have a slightly above average coverage grade compared to the rest of the league, but the Dolphins are dead last. So in terms of coverage grade. So you think the Browns are going to establish a run, Nick Chubb going to have a big game, and then, the play action is going to really set up some open receivers, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, who's been a problem this year for defenses. I just think the matchup is really conducive to this Browns team.
You also got the Browns coming off of a bye.
Yeah. I don't love it enough to pick it because +4 for a team is, as bad as the Browns have been playing this year. You can't take +4 on a 3-5 team, facing a 6-3 playoff team. But especially when you're on the road. But it seems I really like it.
The line makes more sense at least.
Yeah, I agree. This game's really intriguing to me because if you remember last time, the Panthers were given every opportunity to win this game and couldn't put away the Falcons. Falcons -3 here on the road. I personally, for not a ton of reasons, think the Panthers are going to win this one just as a simple revenge game. And they are pissed off. They know they should have had a win. This is one where they're watching film. They're pissed off. They're going to come ready to chop someone's head off, man. You're gonna see at least a very competitive game. I think +3. If this, I don't know if it would, but +3.5 would be incredible here. I think the Falcons probably win this game by a field goal just because they're the better team. But if the Falcons do win this one, it's not gonna be by much more, if at all, than 3. But don't be shocked if the Panthers pull this one off. It's a simple revenge game against a divisional opponent at home. Always a dangerous spot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I was on the Panthers last time. We got the
Yes, you were.
there, but yeah, I think they won this one at home for pretty much everything you already mentioned. But the Panthers also had Baker playing, right? Baker was
Yeah,
back.
he took some snaps in the second half of that game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know personally what to think about for either of these teams. Both of them, in my opinion, aren't great, but better than what you kind of expected at the start of the year. It's
Yeah, it's
it's an
weird.
interesting matchup, but yeah, I think just a revenge game for the Panthers here, at home, dogs. I'll take the +3 at the very least.
Yeah, and it's not enough for me to pick them given how bad they are. But like if this line gets somehow closer, +3.5, 4, then I think you start to really consider taking the Panthers there. Moving on, we got the Broncos taking on the Titans here. Titans really let one slip against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. But this line, I'm assuming, is surprising to a lot of people because the Broncos look terrible this year. Not on defense, but on offense, really stagnant sitting at 3-5, taking on the Titans in Tennessee. They're favored by 3 points, which means that if this game is in Denver, the Broncos would be favored by 3 points. So they're basically saying these two teams are exactly even, which is really, really intriguing to me. But given the home field advantage, Titans get the edge here, obviously. So what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got the Broncos are coming off of a bye as well this week, right? I think
Yes.
that's playing into the line a bit here, but I mean, Tennessee, you got Derrick Henry, beast, two rushing touchdowns against the Chiefs, but then that offense kind of fizzled out towards late, let the Chiefs get back in it and end up winning the game even. But Malik Willis shown some flashes, but
Yeah.
I don't see him doing much against this Broncos secondary. At the same time, this Broncos team also just traded Bradley Chubb. Very,
Yeah.
very interesting move for
Yeah.
a team that is not playing well, but is supposed to be win now. Tough to read, but I do think I would still take the Titans probably -3. I actually I don't want to touch it at all.
No,
The more I
yeah.
think about
Hey,
it.
I'm the same way. I don't know what I would pick in this one. Broncos, the case for the Broncos is they have the best coverage and best secondary, personnel wise and grade wise in football. And so you're facing a rookie quarterback like Willis, who has shown flashes, they're going to struggle. So the entire focus on this Denver defense is going to be stop Derrick Henry. They're going to this by default with how good their defense is. This Tennessee offense is going to be one dimensional in running the ball with Derrick Henry. That's where the positives stop for the Broncos, though. They're not really putting up many points this season. The Titans have a solid defense. I'm looking right now, see what fifth highest graded defense in football. You probably wouldn't have guessed that, especially not coming in this season. But again, a Mike Vrabel coach team is gonna find ways to win. They're gonna find ways to compete, no matter who's on the field. So being the home field advantage and being the better coach team, and you can make maybe a couple flashy plays with Malik Willis on the ground. I could see the case for the Titans -3 as well. So something I definitely don't want to touch. But given the fact you have the number 2 best defense in football playing the number 5 best defense, I want to take the under here. And given the way the Broncos have scored and let other teams score, this under seems pretty nice, honestly.
Yeah. What do you think of Russell Wilson? You think like
Dude, I don't know. I really like. Is he broken? Is he done for
that's
being
what I'm
good?
saying? Like, is he gonna ever
I
come
think
back?
part of it is Nathaniel Hackett, who I never really believed in as a head coach and offensive coordinator in Green Bay to begin with, and I think he should be fired. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't. Not that surprised because you can't fire a rookie head coach 8 games in, but he should be fired. He's not a good coach.
He's been probably the
It's
worst
like
coach.
Josh McDaniels. I never believed in him, and look what the Raiders are doing. So that's my thoughts on that. Moving on, we got the Texans at the Giants, coming off a bye for the Giants. Um, for me, I liked originally the Giants at -6.5, and then I looked in the numbers, and I now love the Giants -6.5. The Texans have the worst, and not even by any close margin, by a very wide margin, the worst run defense in football. Absolutely cannot stop anyone on the ground facing this Giants team that has two really good runners. Obviously, Saquon Barkley, and gets more surprising every week. But Daniel Jones can run the ball very effectively in this offense. Brian Dable certainly knows what he's doing, and this Giants team on both sides of football just has a knack for winning. This defense does not let up chunk plays. They don't let up a lot of points. Texans don't score a lot of points. So for all those reasons, I think the Giants have a really good matchup here. Again, coming off a bye week against the Texans team that is absolutely pitiful in just about every aspect. There's very few redeemable qualities. And their best player on offense, Brandon Cooks, doesn't even want to play for them anymore. Like, it's just turmoil in Houston.
Yeah, I got Brandon Cooks on my fantasy team.
Yeah,
That was just honestly an awful pick.
brutal, brutal.
I thought Davis Mills was going to take a step forward.
Yeah, I did too.
Probably about as mediocre as you could possibly be, if not just bad. But
Hmm.
that team is just awful. I don't think this game will even be close. Like you mentioned, you got the Giants coming off of the bye. Still a slightly overrated team, but I'm buying more into to what I've seen from them. I think Dable is really the X factor.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I was about to say head coach makes a
winning.
big difference in the NFL, and he's doing it for him. So yeah, so we're both in agreement here. We like the Giants, man. I think it's a good one. The over might not be the worst thing because I could see the Giants putting up a lot of points that game. Here, Chiefs 9.5 point favorites hosting the Jaguars here. Nothing too surprising to me. Chiefs are showing at least to be one of the most consistent teams in football, if not one of the best. I don't, the Jaguars. I was on them to make the playoffs in the beginning of the year. Siwa, definitely wrong about that. I think it's not over yet, but I think this team needs to take one more step up. This Jaguars team to be contenders for this division. They're just one, stepping stone away from being an actual pretty good team. So I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, covering -9.5. Honestly, probably. I don't love the line, but I would not even consider taking anything in double digits here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the big issue I think with the Jaguars, obviously, still missing some pieces on the defense. But they're decent on both sides of the ball. But Trevor Lawrence just hasn't taken that real step forward this year. I
Yeah,
I thought he showed some flashes also at the start of the year, but just kind of regressed back these past few weeks. And then with the Chiefs, even I don't think the Chiefs have played that great of football, even though they're 6-2. I could see them just knocking the wheels off of the Jags here at home. Just really had to gut one out against the Titans this last Sunday night. I think the Chiefs not necessarily need a statement win, but I think they're due for one. I
I
think
agree.
they've
I
kind of
love
been
that.
under talked a little bit this year, getting lost in the shuffle with the Eagles and the Bills. They need to just get back out there in the spotlight.
And they're a team that always plays better as the year goes on, especially with new personnel. They're really getting Juju Smith-Schuster integrated in this offense as the season's progressed. So their defense gets stronger. Obviously, Travis Kelce is always going to be there with Mahomes. I like what you said. I didn't think about it, but definitely, I think a statement win is in their future here. And see them, they're going to win by probably 7. It says, do they win by double digits here? And I think that Lawrence isn't good enough to compete and keep up with this Chiefs offense.
Yeah, not enough to go into Kansas City. I mean, Derrick Henry really just
No.
made kept the Titans in the game, gave him a chance. Other than Derrick Henry
And
being
that game, keeping close, that was a Mike Vrabel game. He really, I mean, you saw how frustrated Kelsey was. He's frustrated that entire Chiefs offense with how good the defense played. That was a that was a Vrabel game. And Derrick Henry kept him in, but did everything he could. But it's the Chiefs at the end of the day.
all right, next up, we got the New Orleans Saints heading to Pittsburgh. Just got the Saints getting handed handed this last game to them by the Ravens. I turned it on in the second half, missed quite a bit from while I was at dinner, but not much to really see by the time I was able to watch.
Yeah, I
And then
didn't. Yeah, keep going.
cut you off. But yeah, on the other side, I did notice something interesting. The Steelers have played the toughest schedule thus far in the NFL season. Obviously, neither of these teams really have playoff hopes here, but I am leaning one way. I want to hear what you say, was.
Yeah, I don't really know what to think because the Saints did not look good against the Ravens, who, are getting better and better, especially with Roquan Smith, who's addition. But I personally have Ravens Super Bowl future, so I'm loving the direction they're going. Steelers, I like the team. What I really get hung up with them is their lack of run game and the lack of Najee Harris in that offense. And because of that, I do like the Saints at -2.5 here, even on the road. And the reason being is because besides last week, these these Saints have put up a lot of points under Andy Dillon, and he's made mistakes and he hasn't looked good, but they put up points. Um, and I still really like their defense. It's just when you get the ball you give the ball to Lamar Jackson as many times as you do, they're gonna get some points. Not a game I would love to bet because they haven't looked good and it's on the road in Pittsburgh, but I'm definitely leaning towards the Saints. Leaning heavier than I had, let's say, like in that Broncos Titans game for the picks that I say. But I have a feeling that you like the Steelers here. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
no, you're right. I like the Steelers here, plus money at home. Have not the Saints could arguably be one of the worst teams they've played so far. Obviously, the Steelers have looked awful,
They had a
but
tough go on.
I do think Kenny Pickett's going to start to grow. I think he's got to show at least some progression here. It's been about three, or at least the last 2 weeks, they've put up 10 and then 13 points. I know that doesn't give you a whole lot to believe in betting them, but I do think Kenny Pickett's going to step up here. The defense is still solid. Not necessarily have a ton to play for, but neither of these teams do. I think Kenny Pickett
No.
is the X factor here. Just trying to build on this rookie season and show Pittsburgh what he has. And then on the other hand, too, even Najee Harris, I I don't necessarily think he's going to play that well, but he's kind of playing himself into a prove it second half of the season. I don't know if he's going to have
I mean,
himself.
he better for my fantasy team, but he's not looked good. He kind of, I don't know, he lost it. Let's see if he can get it back in the second half of the season, but he's just not making the same reads and same cuts as you used to seeing out of him. So we'll see.
I like the Steelers on a field play.
We'll reassess this next week, see who ended up being right. But it's a tough game. It does seem like a trap game, honestly. The Saints aren't good enough to be put in trap games, but it definitely seems like a game where the Steelers, just based on the line, are going to cover this one at home. Going on a couple really bad football teams here and really poorly coached football teams. Colts, 6.5 points underdogs going to Las Vegas, who are terrible as well. I'm going to say something really quick about this game, and then I'll just leave it at that. I can see it's going either way in terms of spreads. So I can see the Colts covering because their defense is so good. I can see the Colts putting up no points and not covering here. The Raiders have their biggest strength, like I said, they're the best rated run offensive football, but they're going up against a top 10 run defense, and honestly, this top 10 defensive unit in general in the Colts. So again, I can see it going both ways. But the biggest thing that really made me, we were going to pick the Colts 6.5. We shied away from it because there is no one on this Colts coach staff that has ever called plays in their career in the NFL level. And normally that wouldn't concern me as much if you at least had a veteran quarterback who knew what he was doing, but you got Sam Ellinger out there. So I feel like no one's going to know what's going on in offense. Jonathan Taylor hasn't been playing. It's just, I can't even touch this game. I can see anything, literally anything happen in this game.
Yeah, I mean, with what you just said, and I mean, I knew that already, but I kind of just didn't even put two and two together with Ellinger starting. Kind of makes me want to lead the Raiders in this one, even though
Right?
it's a big line, two bad teams. But like you mentioned, Jeff Saturday with the hire for the Colts, never coached in NFL or college. Obviously, was a great O lineman for him, but really just got the job off of his relationship with Jim Irsay.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good personality. He's a good
It's
football
either
mind, but he's not a play caller. You
either
know,
going to be like a Dan Campbell type of deal,
he's a
or
Dan Campbell hire for sure.
but yeah, I think I kind of like the Raiders for that reason, but I still couldn't take the Raiders minus
Again, yeah, they're too bad.
anybody.
This is the worst team in football to be getting 6.5 points. Like you don't get teams this bad getting favored by 6.5 points often. So I can't do it. I probably won't watch the game because I don't think it's gonna be a good one. Probably the under, if anything, in that game, but that's gonna be an interesting one. Gotta move a little quicker here. See what divisional matchup with the Cardinals, the Rams. The Rams really own this matchup as their defense is really built to beat this Cardinals team. Tough loss to the Rams. I think they're really due for a win here. But although the Cardinals are due for a win too, but Jalen Ramsey's done well in his career, at least limiting DeAndre Hopkins, who's really the only light of hope in this Cardinals offense. I think that I like the Rams -3 here. Aaron Donald lives in Kyler Murray's backfield because no one on the Cardinals can ever block him. And, you look back to last year's playoff game where the Rams absolutely demolished the Cardinals. Probably not demolish this game, but I think the Rams -3 is a very solid bet in this one. And the Rams definitely win this game. I don't like to speak that many absolutes, but the Rams are going to win this game.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on this one. I had the Rams last week, and maybe that was some bias for me not taking them again here, but the Rams defense will always come to play. I think that's the biggest strength among either of these teams. And like
Oh
you
yeah,
mentioned, the Cardinals, they're gonna have to force feed DeAndre Hopkins, but he has that tough matchup against Ramsey. I really like the Rams to win this game and cover as well.
I like when we're on the same page. All right, 2 games left, Sliwa. Cowboys on the road against the Giants here. Um, it concerns me picking the Cowboys -5 because you're on the road in Green Bay. Packers trying to snap a losing streak with Aaron Rodgers. That's how I justify the Packers +5. Otherwise, the Lions defense is so. I mean, the Lions. The Cowboys defense is so good, and just about every aspect. Their offense is really good. It'd be surprising, honestly, if they don't cover this -5. But that's why I don't love it. It seems a little too easy. I think this Packers team is going to at least compete at home. They're going to compete at home in front of their loyal fan base and try to make this thing close.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely not a game I would bet either. The Cowboys look like the easy bet here to win by a touchdown. But this is the type of game where Rodgers will just at least finally throw a couple touchdowns, not
Yeah,
throw three
what's
picks
going
again.
on?
Not gonna bet it, but
I'm not going to bet it, but I especially because what happened. I told you I can't bet them.
right,
Uh,
yeah, you're banned.
I'm banned, but it tells me something tells me the Packers are going to compete. They have a lot of pride in their home field. So last game, Sliwa, I'm literally just going to say this: Eagles are going to win this game. This spread is way too high for a divisional opponent in prime time for me. So I'm definitely not going to touch it. If I was going to lean one way, it would 100% be towards the Commanders, given a double-digit
Yeah.
spread.
I actually love the Commanders plus 10.5.
Yeah,
I mean, they're 4-5, not great, but they're still a solid football team.
they should have
Eagles,
won that game last week.
yeah, yeah, I mean, the Eagles are a good team too, but I mean, I'm still not crazy impressed with an 8-0 record. I mean, obviously, great football team, but nothing telling me they're a better team than the Bills.
Yeah, no, I am very impressed with the Eagles, but to say they're better than the Bills is a stretch. Um, Giving the Bills all day over the Eagles. That's obviously not what we're discussing. We'll see
Right.
in the
I
playoffs,
just don't think
hopefully.
the Eagles are that untouchable to
Yeah,
give
no,
10.5
this
against a
game's gonna be
decent
closer
football
than it
team.
should be. This game's gonna be closer than it should be. Just because that's it. So that's how it goes in football. Reminder: we got a partnership with Prize Picks. Sign up with the code ProPicks, and you will get your deposit matched to $100. More importantly, we got our week 10 card. Remember, don't forget the live ad of that Bears over the Lions at 48.5. Bucks to win the first ever game played in Germany. And we love this Bills Niners teaser. Or I think the Bills bounce back after a loss, and the Niners take advantage of a pretty beat up Chargers team. Sliwa, 30 seconds. Any last remarks?
No, I mean, I just hate going against the Seahawks in this one, but I do
I
think
know you do. I know.
they're still making the playoffs, though. That's it.
And maybe win the division. We'll see. But best of luck, everyone, in week 10, and we hope to see you again in week 11.